Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Billionaire Talent Motivational Talks with me, Kev Orkian. How are you doing? Now, before you adjust your laptops, your phones or wherever, this is, yes, it is white. It is white and it is growing and it's going to be shaved tomorrow. I can't tell you that this is God's honest truth. I shaved yesterday and today I'm seriously halfway through looking like Moses. I'm not joking. It's unbelievable. But that's how quickly my beard grows. I started shaving when I was 4. Now, the thing is, today we're going to be really, really quite intense with what we're going to talk about. And that is, I titled this week's show called Finding You. Now, the reason I call it Finding You is because in actual fact, thousands and millions and, well, let's face it, billions of people in the world, okay, do not know who they really are. Now, that's a bold statement to make, and I'll kind of back it up with what I'm trying to say. There are people who come into this world, okay, and leave this world without accomplishing anything, okay? And there are people in this world who come into this world and they leave a legacy behind that is remembered for decades, which is just insane. I mean, we have statues up of these people. We have, you know, like emblems. We have all kinds of pictures and paintings and whatnot. What is different about them? What is different about you? Because in my opinion, there is no difference, because we have all the same capabilities, the same abilities, and we all can actually do anything we put our minds to. So my question to you today, okay, is what are you doing in your life right now that you will be proud of on your deathbed? Now, that's quite a heavy question, because I don't want anyone to die. I want you all to stay and live forever and ever and ever. But reality is we don't, okay? We don't live forever. And what are we going to do on our deathbed when we look back on everything that we have tried or accomplished? Now, in my opinion, people who have children have already made a massive accomplishment, because bringing a baby and a child and a teenager into this world is an insane responsibility. It really is. I know, I have twins. So it is an insane responsibility. So people who have children have a massive responsibility, and that is a legacy on its own, right? Am I right? Yes, of course. But is that the only thing that you want to achieve in your life? Bringing a child to the world and then moving on, okay? Or do you want to bring more than just one aspect to your life? Because we are all born equal. We are all born with the ability to do anything and everything we put our minds to. So even if you are disabled, even if you come from a very, very, very poor family, even if you are born in a country that has no facilities or any kind of ability to be able to accomplish something in your life, we all are born with a brain, okay? And a brain that we can work and we can train to accomplish incredible things. So what I'm going to ask you today is, what is it that you have accomplished that you're proud of in your life, that you can say on your deathbed, I did that, I did that, okay? And that's what I mean about finding you, okay? Finding you is about not what other people think, not what other people say about you, okay? Because that doesn't matter. Truly, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you say about you, okay? So if you don't say good things about you, do not expect anyone to say good things about you too. If you don't trust yourself, don't expect others to trust you, okay? If you don't love yourself, don't expect others to love you, okay? So what is it about you that you can be proud of, okay? And let's jump the gun. Go to the point of your deathbed. Go to your deathbed right now. You're lying in your deathbed and you've got all these spirits coming up to you going, do you remember when we accomplished that? Do you remember when we spoke about that, when we never got round to it? Do you remember you failed at that, but then you tried again and it worked? Or Do you remember I came to you with a great idea and you were too lazy. You were procrastinating on your sofa. You know, you didn't bother with me. Do you remember? Can you imagine what would have happened? Can you imagine? So what I'm saying is, I'm wondering whether, okay, you're sitting there thinking, what if? What if? Now, if you find you, then you'll know how strong you are. You'll know how incredibly powerful your life can be. Okay? Why can't you be the next Prime Minister? Or the next person who discovers another social media platform? Or perhaps, why don't you be the next top surgeon in this country that does an incredible operation? It's what we want to do in our lives. And if you don't hit that goal, then you'll never, ever know what you wanted to do in your life. Okay? And that's what I want to talk about today, finding you. Now, when you sit down and you talk to yourself in your mind, okay, and you say to yourself, okay, why have I never, ever done that? The voices in your head will immediately go, yeah, but you didn't want to do that because that wasn't right for you. Do you remember last time you did it and you failed? That wasn't a really good thing to do, was it? Do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember the past? Do you remember the past? That's the problem. Your subconscious will always remember the past. And that's a problem. Because if you're not willing to change, then you will never change. Up to the age of 35, everything we have done in our lives, everything we have done in our lives is a repeat process of what we've done before. Up to 35 years old. After that, it's a habit. It's done. Unless you change your mind, you'll always go back to the same answers, even though you ask different questions. Okay? So if you ask a question of, do you know what? I want a six-pack. I want to go out there. I want to train. I want to run. I want a six-pack, and I want to do the 26-mile marathon. And then you start on the first day, and you start training. And the voice is going, do we really need to do this? Second day. I mean, seriously, this is like the second day. Yesterday, you didn't accomplish much anyway. And today, you're really going to push yourself again and again and again. Really? Are you going to do that? Third day, you don't want to go in today. Have the day off. Usually, you have to rest your muscles for a couple of days. Fourth day, well, you didn't go in yesterday. It's what you've done before, really, isn't it? Don't go in today. Chill out. Fifth day, you didn't go for the last 2 days. There's no point going anymore. If I were you, I'd get a refund back on that gym membership. You could use that for Netflix. That's a voice of negativity. But it's also a voice of where you have been training for the last 35 years. Scientists will tell you. You can look this up. You can look this up. It's a categorical fact. You train your brain up until the age of 35. And then the only way you can change your thoughts and your processes is by changing little by little by little. Okay? You can't change overnight. You can't change everything overnight. You can't. Because your subconscious will go, well, hold on a minute. What's going on? We've not done this before. But what you're now doing is tell the subconscious that you are in charge, not the subconscious. You are in charge. So, again, I'm going to ask the question, what have you done to leave a legacy behind so far, and what would you like to accomplish in the future? Do you have a bucket list? Do you have one? You've seen that wonderful movie, yeah? Jack Nicholson, Morgan Freeman. Yeah, you've seen that movie, Bucket List, okay? They got to a really ripe old age before they decided they were going to do something about it, okay? Why can't we do it now? Why can't you do it now? If there might, I know there's a young boy watching now called Tommy. Absolutely talented young man, Tommy J. Rollison. Brilliantly talented young man. Okay, why doesn't he go and do things that he doesn't have to wait for? Why can't he do it now? Okay, why can't you, for example, jump out of an airplane? Did you ever want to do that? I don't know. Maybe you can answer the question in the live feeds. You can tell me, Tommy, did you ever want to jump out of an airplane? Perhaps. I don't know. But why haven't you done it right up until now? There's loads of people watching. I've got Tracy, Sheila, I've got Marilyn, I've got loads of people watching the show. Yeah, now tell me, okay, tell me what would you love to accomplish? Right now, if I could ask you for one thing that you'd like to accomplish, and this is away from the lockdown, by the way. Oh, I'd like to go back out to the to McDonald's and maybe go and sit in the park and have my McDonald's Mackie D's. Hey, that's not an accomplishment. Okay, that's not an accomplishment. An accomplishment, if I could say the word, is something that you've done or want to do, okay, that is against the grain of you as a human being. Okay? What is it? Think about it. It could be anything. Okay? It could be anything you want to accomplish. Perhaps it's something you've seen someone else do. Don't know. Perhaps. I don't know. But think about it. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pose the question out there. I know a few people are watching. Ramsey. Hi, Ramsey. Nice to see that you're on. And I know Sheila Farmer's on again. Hi, darling. Tracy Plumridge. Hi, lovely Kev. Hope you are well and safe. We are. We're all doing great. We're all trying to stay safe, I think, aren't we? We're all trying to stay positive and trying to raise our immune systems. That's what it's all about. But there's, you know, stop pretending that you're accomplishing stuff if you're not. Okay, stop pretending that you are doing the right thing if you're not. Okay, because your body and your mind will work differently. Your mind will go, I'm going to go training. I'm going to really work out hard. I'm going to get the best physique I ever wanted. And your body's going, not today. Not today. Maybe another visit to KFC would be a good idea. You know? So, Mason Knight, hi. Evening, Mason. Nice to see you on the show, mate. So tell me, what would you like to accomplish? Share your stories with us. Now, here's another thing. Whilst we're helping people accomplish things is just as satisfying. True, Ramsey, that is categorically true. And who does that? Doctors, nurses, carers, charity workers. You know, you see something that you've accomplished and you've done it through them. That's a great achievement to have had. So yes, I totally agree with you. I think that's a brilliant, and it's a great satisfaction as well. You see, because not only are you enjoying reaping the benefits of what you've helped do, but also you're reaping the positivity back from the people that you've helped. So it's not just about you doing something for yourself, it's about doing something for others, which actually, Ramsey, categorically is a much better feeling as well, knowing that someone out there is smiling. Use a computer properly. Sheila, what are you talking about using a computer properly? Is that something you really want to achieve? Because if it is, your son's a genius and he's the one producing this show. So I'd ask him if I were you. So that's great. What's this? Have you ever done the Briggs Myers personality test? No, I haven't. No, never done it. No, that'd be quite interesting to do, actually. Let's set ourselves a challenge. There are 16 different types of personality. We are all different. Absolutely. We are all different. We all have different minds, different thoughts. We all have different physiques, different, I suppose, goals as well in life. You can have two people who are identical. Like my twins are not identical twins. They're very much different from each other, but they have certain traits that are identical. But if I was to speak to someone on here, for example, like me and Tim are two different characters, two different people, but we get on because we have a mutual understanding and a mutual respect for each other's talents. So I think it comes down to not just being different from each other in personality, which is what Ramsey's just said, but also different attitudes to different ways of doing things makes us unique. Okay, so if someone tries to achieve the 26-mile marathon, for example, this is a good example, and trains every day and then does the marathon and succeeds, then you know they've put the hard work in, they've grafted, and they've done well with it. But what about those people who say they want to do the 26-mile run, but once a week they go for a run for 10 minutes? Do you think they would achieve the same goal as the marathon runner who trains 2 hours a day? I don't know, because our minds are very strong. Our minds are very strong. I'll share the test here. It's a great way of understanding what drives us and makes us happy. Full fit. Please do that, Ramsey. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for taking so much interest in in the show and you know, sharing your ideas. This is exactly what we're looking for, because this is what it's all about. It's about sharing concepts and ideas. Mason's just put, I want my six-pack back instead of my keg. Hey, listen, you dreamt of it. If you can make it happen, you never know. We might see it. We might see it. So again, what I'm trying to say is, what is holding you back? Ask that question. Okay? You're finding you to achieve the best possible you. But what's holding you back? What's holding you back? Is it your mind? Is it your thoughts? Is it fear? It's fear, isn't it? A lot of the times, it comes down to fear. It comes down to the pure aspect of not wanting to do something because it might go wrong. Okay? And that could be anything. You could be trying to, I don't know, buy a business. Maybe learn, like Sheila said, learning how to use a computer properly. But why can't you use the computer, Sheila? Fear? Non-understanding? Worried that if you press something wrong, it might go wrong? Or perhaps you don't have any fear. You don't understand something that you can't be bothered to understand. I know 90-year-olds that use computers better than I do. But you wonder how they've been able to do that when they've not really been born in that generation. They've had to learn, you know, that aspect of how to use a computer. So what is it? What is it that's holding you back? Shall we take another question? Is there any others? Let's have, oh, Kerry. Kerry. Hello, Leicester Pantomime fan from 2 years ago. Kerry, bless you, lovey. How are you? It's good to see you. Lovely little picture there as well. Yes, Leicester Pantomime 2 years ago. Wow, time flies, doesn't it? Time really flies. 2 years ago. And that's what I think is going to happen with this lockdown. It's going to fly by, and the next thing you know, we're going to be celebrating Christmas going, did that actually happen this year? Did that actually happen? It's funny, isn't it, how time flies, and we take so much for granted on our everyday lives. And when I say holding you back, that's part of it, because you can look back 5 years later and think, oh, I had a great idea. Why did I never pursue it? It's too late now. Someone's already done it. Because if you're thinking of an idea or a thought, someone else is as well. That's how it always works. Now, it says, Tracy says, my dyslexia is my disability. Rubbish. Rubbish. Because it's mine too. And it's rubbish. Dyslexia doesn't hold you back. That's completely a excuse. Okay? Because I'm dyslexic as well. Totally. It's an excuse. Okay? If you want to achieve something, you will. It doesn't matter if you're dyslexic, if you're, I don't know, if you're blind, if you're deaf, if you're physically incapable. If you want to achieve something, you'll achieve it. I know a lot of people, especially with dyslexia, and I suffer from it. Marilyn, who's watching the show, who constantly tells me not to say okay all the time. Marilyn, sometimes I have to send her my emails to check because I'm dyslexic. And she says to me, yeah, you've written that wrong. That's the wrong spelling. I still, to this day, if I write the sentence, I would love to attend the meeting, I, and then would be spelt O-W-U-L-D. I automatically spell it like that every single time. And my son, one of my sons, Luke, not Jake, but Luke, is also showing signs of dyslexia. He's 6 years old, and he writes things back to front sometimes. He writes things in a different way to his brother. His brother writes them correctly. He doesn't. He even writes numbers the wrong way around. It's just signs. Signs of dyslexia. It doesn't mean you're incapable of anything. That's an excuse. And I used to make it an excuse. Oh, I can't write that story. It's just too difficult for me because, you know, I'm dyslexic. Not really. Because I can still write it and I can give it to a copywriter to write it properly for me. Or I can give it to my operations manager, Marilyn, to write it properly for me. You know, I think Ramsey, by the way, guys, if you want to check it out, Ramsey's actually shared the link. So if you guys want to check that out after the show, thank you, Ramsey. God bless you. Sheila's put, you are right. I am frightened of pressing the wrong key. Well, you know what? That's true. That's true. And we've all done it. We've all done it. But the fact remains, a computer can still be sorted out and can still be repaired. Okay, and your son's very good at doing that. So, so yeah, we do press the wrong buttons at times, but so what? So what? You're not throwing it in the skip, are you? You're not going to burn it, are you? You just made a mistake. You pressed the wrong button. Something different happened. Wow. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. I think my producer put Alicia. Yes, it. To be safe and hopefully fun place for friends and family around the world to come to, be it in person or be it late night phone call, to give back to the world that has always welcomed me. People are always the true adventure in this life. How profound is that? And you're absolutely right. Again, totally true. Okay? If you want to achieve anything in your life, do it. Okay? Do it. Do it. Don't make excuses, because making excuses is your way of trying to get out of something you don't really want to do. Okay? Dyslexia is not an excuse. It's a label that makes people feel they can't do things. Listen, it's also a label, but it's also an excuse. I've met many people who say to me, I want to write a book. I say, well, go on then, write a book. No, I can't. I'm dyslexic. You are? I'm dyslexic. So you can't speak into a dictaphone then. Or you can't get a ghostwriter. Get a ghostwriter. Get someone to sit there and talk to them. Okay? Talk to them. What helped me with dyslexia was using a word processor with spell check. Boom! There you go. Thank you, Mason. Didn't stop him, though, did it? It doesn't stop anything. Dyslexia, people use it as a label. People use this one as a label. I love this one. Oh, yeah, I have OCD. Or I have ADHD. Join the club. So do I. Do I make an excuse of it? No. I don't. I have hyperactive disorder. I had it as a kid. Was it identified when I was a kid? No. It was identified when I was in my 20s. When I went to the doctors. Wasn't identified when I was a kid. People thought I was a naughty child. I was dyslexic. I had ADD at the time, to be fair. Not ADHD, which is hyperactive disorder, which I developed later, where I couldn't think straight for more than 10 minutes before my body went into a spasm, where I'd go, ah, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? My concentration levels were rubbish, but I didn't make it an excuse, and I didn't want to label myself. What did I do? I said, okay, so I've got these things, but they don't have to define me, and they certainly don't have to be what I use as a template for the rest of my life. Why should ADD or ADHD or dyslexia or OCD conquer me? Because I'm stronger than them. I'm stronger than those labels, those excuses. I can be better than that. I can. And I will. So the moment you think, do I want to write a book? Do I want to write a letter? Do I want to write an ebook? And then go, no, because I'm dyslexic. It's rubbish. The thing you have to do is turn around and go, I'm dyslexic, great, let's move on. Right, I want to write a book. How do I do this? How do I get that ghostwriter or that spell checker like Mason just said? You know, how do I do this? How do I get that ball rolling? The greatest writers in the world still use copywriters and proofwriters to see what they were writing. Why can't you? Hey, why can't you? Why can't you write the next great novel? or the next how-to book. Believe it or not, okay? Kerry, I can't is not really a word, just an excuse not to try. Mwah! Boom! Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Those who say they can and those who say they can't are both right. They're both right. If you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. I sometimes wonder, oh my God, oi, look at that. Zozik Antabalian Karakashian. Woo, what a name. Janik. I sometimes wonder what I had when I was a kid, because I hated school, then because it didn't make any logic for me, and now I'm a successful person in life. I know I have brains, but they never made me use it properly. That's interesting, okay? Because 90, I think is if I get the facts right here, we'll Google it later. I think it's 93% of all successful billionaires are dyslexic. 93%. If I'm not mistaken, I'll double check those facts and tell you next week. 93% of all billionaires either were dropouts from school, dyslexic, or they had some learning difficulty and hated, hated school to a certain degree. I don't think a lot of them hated school, but a lot of them didn't get on with school. Imagine that. And they're all billionaires or millionaires. Okay? So why are they different to people who are educated and who are studying hard and who get A pluses and A++++ and loads of, diplomas and whatnot? What's different to them? I mean, how are these two people different? How? Every single person is born with a talent hidden somewhere. You have to find it, nurture it, and go for it. Zavin, totally. Zavin is spot on. He's hit the nail on the head. We are all categorically born with a talent. We are. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to find it. That's true. You have to find it. How do you find it? How? Okay. Now, I didn't know in any sense of the word that I was going to be a pianist, a concert pianist for a while, and then a pianist. How did I know? I didn't know. My mum didn't know, but she wanted me to learn. So I sat on the piano. Suddenly, boom, I've got a talent for it. I'm playing the piano. I started at 3.5 years old. By the time I was 15, I completed all my my grades, my diplomas. But how did my mum know? Did she know? Nope. I didn't know. But I found one part of my talent. Then I found I enjoyed doing comedy. I was always telling the jokes. I was the class clown. Suddenly, boom, here's another talent. Then I started, learning other aspects of my life, other things that I really wanted to do. So then, you start to learn how to cook. Then you learn how to, read really inspiring books. Then you learn how to paint. I was, people won't know this, I was a animator. I studied animation, Disney animation. So those cells that they use, I mean, they use computers now. There's no cells left anymore. But those see-through clear cells where they used to paint all that, I used to do that. I wanted to go into animation. And I was really good at it, to be fair, really good at it. But I decided to take a different path. But that's another thing I enjoyed doing. So what is it you enjoy doing? Do you think you have a talent for it? We're all born with it. Absolutely born with it. Mason, when people have a disability, they usually compensate by being excellent at things in a different way. Now, the prime example to that, Mason, in my opinion, was the story of Rain Man. Now, don't get me wrong, that's quite extreme, okay? But that's a complete example that tells you where they fail in being able to communicate, or they fail in being able to be boisterous and and affectionate with people, but on the other hand, they can be geniuses in other aspects of their life. Look at Stevie Wonder, blind, but probably the best pianist in the world when it comes to what he does. Absolutely amazing, amazing. Ray Charles, another one. I know a comic, by the way, a really good comic, who's deaf. Marilyn knows him. my operations manager, is deaf. He's phenomenal. Funny, funny, funny. When my teacher used to ask me to read out loud in front of the class, I used to say I'd forgotten my glasses. True story. Again, fear. But you're a kid. To a certain degree, it's acceptable. But can we stop children from fearing about things? Can we stop them from worrying? Yes, we can. I do. I do. I'll get back to you in a second, Kerry. Recently, and as recently as 4 days ago in my house, because we've got the doors open, because the sun is shining, it's beautiful and really warm out there. In the evening, about 6:30, we're all sitting there, and my son went, "Dad, look." And I looked down. I kid you not. That big. Like that. Spider. I mean, the legs were massive. There was a tattoo on one of the legs. It was massive. Massive. Spider. And my son goes, "Oh, look. Oh." And I went, "Oh, it's all right." This is how I reacted. It's all right. Just pick it up and put it outside. He looked at me as if to say, "You what?" I said, "Pick it up and put it outside." "Okay, Daddy." "Will it bite me?" "It won't bite you." "Okay." Goes up to it, picks it up, cups it, takes it outside and puts it on the grass. Spider goes. Now, if my wife had seen that spider, chalk and cheese, chalk and cheese. "Get that out of it! Oh my God! Just catch it, squeeze it, do something. Oh, get it out!" It would have been that. She hates spiders. But my sons, they have to learn not to have any fear in everything, in everything. Later on in life, we can deal with it better if there is something that they worry about. Don't let them have fear. Kerry, what was your question? I remember you asking, right, it's not grade you get, it's that you try, you excel in your own area. It's not about being better than other, just being the best you can. Absolutely right, Kerry. And if you can't be the best you can, then you're obviously not trying hard enough, okay? Because no one else can tell you to be the best athlete in the world, to be the best musician in the world, to be the best comedian in the world, to be the best whatever in the world. Only you can say that I want to be that thing. I want to be the best athlete, best musician. I work around my disabilities, absolutely, Cherry. I know Cherry very well. Listening to my mind and body. Take years to adjust, but 6-month diary helped. There you go. And I know how hard it is for you, Cherry. So I know how hard you work. And I'll be honest with you, you've always had a smiley face every time I've seen you. Always. You have the most delightful face. You're always smiling. You're always positive. It's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's on YouTube. You should check him out. Dr. Joe said he has taken classes for people trying to change their lives. And he said by them thinking and initiating through their own heart, their soul and their mind, he has physically seen people get rid of brain tumors within days and cancer reduced within days. How does someone do that? How does someone reduce their brain tumors to the point? Apparently, this particular case had 20, this patient had 20 brain tumors. None. It's all gone. How strong must our mind be that we can actually do that to ourselves? How strong? Turns out, he actually did a test on people who had trained in a gym and people who hadn't trained but thought about training and were doing it in their minds, physically, doing it in their minds. So you had the physical aspect, you had 20 people training in the gym and 20 people in a room, in a dark room, quiet room, thinking and training exactly the same as those guys, but not actually physically moving. And the same muscles were developing and building within their body. How does that work? Hey? How does that work? That tells me that our brains do not know reality. They don't understand it. So if you genuinely believed that outside your house was sitting a top of the range Rolls Royce, and if you open that door, it would be there, your brain, if you make your brain believe it, your brain would not know the difference until you saw it physically. But that's what he's training people to do. See things physically in their minds so they can manifest it in real life. Because once you've physically seen it in your mind, then apparently the magic happens and you automatically get what you think about. That's, to me, is an amazing concept. It really is. That really is. So that tells me, and I am going to set myself a challenge. That tells me, not now, but I will do on one of these shows, that if I think about training my body to lose weight and actually physically work out for 20 minutes a day in my mind by closing my eyes and physically working out, apparently my body changes. So why don't we put it to the test? Why don't I put it to the test? Let's have a go. Let's have a go. I'm going to set myself, 1 week, I'm going to set myself a challenge, and I'm going to set you guys a challenge. So we've got some other people calling in here. Arthur Cosium. Arthur's a great mate. He's put here, books breaks down the types very effectively. Please understand me. To Temperament, Character, Intelligence by David Kiersey. Guys, thank you for all these wonderful recommendations. These are great because these will stay on, so you can go back and reference these later on as well. Marilyn, what have you put there, my darling? Marilyn Nelson's put, a good thing to remember is whether you think you can achieve something or whether you think you can't, you are probably right. It's all about faith and belief in yourself. And even though I told you that I actually referenced Marilyn with my dyslexia, she's done the same with the fact that she's written weather as in the weather we look at in the sky and not weather we look at with the W-H-E-T-H-E-R. You see? You see? I may be dyslexic, but not that bad. Very informative show. Thanks. Love the pics and posters behind you. I saw Cannonball at the New Theatre Royal in Portsmouth. They were amazing. And do you know what? I literally approached them and said, can I just tour with you? There you go. One of my goals, bucket list. Can I tour with you? Can I? Is it okay? Yeah, come on. You all right? You sure? I said, yeah. They knew who I was. I came on board with them, and I did my first tour in, I think it was, somewhere down south. We did Worthing, maybe? I don't know where it was. We did a show, and I loved touring with them, and then I ended up doing more tours. And that was Britannia Pier. So that's good old Great Yarmouth. But a great double act. And again, if you don't ask, you don't get. Alicia, what have you just put? The Brain That Changes Itself. Norman Deutsch. A great book that taught me the potential of my brain. Do you know what? I've got some incredible books. I'm going to, actually, one of the shows I'm going to do, I'll pre-record a show. It'll be on my Billionaire Talent Facebook page, but it'll also be on the Billionaire Talent on the YouTube channel and everything. We'll get that ball rolling. It'll be on the website, which is coming soon, by the way. We're developing a brand new website for Billionaire Talent, which you can access all these videos and much more content. That'll be on there as well. And I'll show you some of the books that I categorically can't live without. I can't live without. There's about 10 books, and I reference them regularly. I go back to them. I read them again and again and again. I love them, and they really inspire me to do better than I do every day. So if you can change your mind even 5 minutes every day, imagine what you could do in a year. It's quite scary, isn't it? So let's have a look at a couple more. Oh, Marilyn Nelson, predictive text. You've always got an answer for everything. Predictive text, I love it. Mason, like, Psycho Cybernetics is a brilliant book. Psycho, really? Okay, well, we'll take that into account as well. We'll share that book with everyone. Anais. Anais is just, but hi Kev. Yeah, now Anais was in my documentary Armin You're Uncovered, which is the documentary that's coming out very soon. I keep saying it's coming out very soon. I think it's already loaded onto the platform of Amazon Prime, but we're just waiting for it to go live. So hi Anais, thank you for joining me, darling. So yeah, so now talking about other stuff with you, here's another question I'd like to ask you. What changes you? What changes you? Is it other people? Do other people change you by what they say? Is it your surroundings? Is it media? Is it television? Is it radio? Is it something that you see someone else doing? What is it that changes you? And what is it that changes you for the better? Is it them or is it you? Okay. And what I mean by better, I mean, for example, if you were to want to stop smoking, if you wanted to stop smoking, okay, are you going to take someone else's advice and stop, or are you going to do it yourself? I told you the story last week about my mum. She put her hand on the Bible, never touched another cigarette again. Okay? What is it that changes you? Circumstances, boredom, friends, family. What is it? For me, it's the need, the serious need to do something great in this world. And I want to help others. I sometimes get told, maybe you do too much for others, you should do something for yourself. They're right. They're right. I should do things for myself. But I do. But I love life. I mean, I'm so hyper, just excited about life that I get up in the mornings, most mornings, I'm up by 5:30, 6 o'clock. I get up. I just love life. I want to achieve something. And I can achieve more in the first 3 hours of me getting up than I can for the rest of the entire day. So I get up at 6 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I have probably done more in emails and more in instigating projects than I do for the rest of the day from 10 till 5. What do you do? Also, here's another, oh, sorry, John, helping everyone and who is helping you? Who is helping? Do you know what, John? It's funny because you know what? That's a great question. And I'll answer that immediately with first things first. The people I'm surrounded with, you always judge a person by the people they're surrounded with, okay? I'm surrounded by a lady called Marilyn Nelson and a gentleman called Nick Farmer, who I see regularly. Those two people I'm surrounded by regularly, both incredible human beings, both humble and hard workers, and both who just see bigger goals than what's in front of them, okay? They go for the longevity, not the short term. And then my family, who give back to me all the love I give out to them. They give back tenfold, and I love that. So I get a lot back from them. But the question you asked, John, is unique because you are one of very few people. And by the way, everyone, just to let you know, John Ryan is the funniest comedian in his actual. There's about 3 counties, and he's quite funny in those counties. Nowhere else at the moment. We'll progress on that every week when he comes back. But he's got a show straight after mine about mental health. He's awesome. John Ryan, check him out. And John checks on me from time to time. He doesn't need an appointment. This office, you know, doors are open. He comes in. Oi, what are you up to? What are you doing? Who's looking after you? What are you up to? Are you happy? What are you getting on with? He always checks on me. He doesn't have to, but he's one of the very few guys that always checks on me. Jimmy Constable, another great friend of mine. Hey, Jimmy, nice to see you. Jimmy was on our Howling TV show a couple of weeks back. Now here's another guy. Think positive. Got out there, got into an ambulance. He's driving around, helping people who need help during the COVID-19 lockdown. Boom. Positive thinking. Positive thinking. So who's looking after me? I want to go back to that question now with John. I'll tell you who's looking after me. Most of the time, my mind is so in peace with itself that I enjoy my own company. Why do I want to give back to others? Because I feel that it makes me happy. It makes me fulfilled knowing I'm doing good things for others as well as myself. Don't get me wrong. But it does make me feel happy. Surround yourself with positive and lovely people who have no hidden agenda. Yeah, but do you know what, Jimmy? I'm going to bring you up on this. So answer me this question then. How do you know they haven't got one? How do you know they haven't got a hidden agenda? Because I did this with a number of people over my experience of my lifetime, you know, with colleges and schools and businesses that I've had in the past. And I've always trusted everyone because I trust myself. So I assume everyone else is like me. That was a very harsh lesson to have learned, by the way. But I always trust myself. So I know if you give me something to do, it's done. No compromise. No compromise. And I will always achieve it. But then I go on to the fact, how do you know they don't have a hidden agenda? Because for me, I suppose I started not distrusting people, but being more careful how I trust people. So do I test them? No. The simple thing I do is what I do for John Ryan. See, John Ryan, I trust him implicitly. I mean, you know, it's live. I'm live on online here. He knows I trust him implicitly. I can share a secret with him knowing it won't go any further. And he'll do the same with me because he'll know it won't go any further. But how do you know, Jimmy? How do you know there's not people out there with hidden agendas? Because I know, again, you, humble, fantastic, wonderful human being. Love you like a brother. I always have. From the moment I met you, we clicked like a house on fire. You are a gem. You're one of the great ones. You really are. But how do you know there's people out there that are not? How do you know there's people out there that want you to fail and them enjoy your failure? Because that's happened to me as well. Oh, I told you it wouldn't happen. I told you. I told you it wouldn't happen. Huh? Should have trusted me. Should have listened to me. Should have thought about it, but you didn't, did you? No. Yeah, I was right all along, wasn't I? Thriving in your failures. But do we actually fail? Or do we learn how not to do something again that way? Think about it. Think about it. What do you reckon? Having a loving, solid network around you, even if it's just a few people, which is a miracle anyway. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Hold on. Let me carry on on the bigger screen to get you through the madness that is this world. And of course, faith and prayers. Now, people pray in different ways as well. I'm gonna do a whole show on praying, by the way, in a few weeks' time. I've actually got it on my agenda. People pray to God. People pray to Allah. People pray to different kinds of gods. But people pray. I pray to an infinite intelligence. So if that is God, then that's who I'm praying to. But I pray to an infinite intelligence. And I can actually tap into it. And I'll get more and more into this. This is something I started learning when I was in my 30s, very early 30s. And I can actually tap into an intelligence, into an infinite intelligence that makes me feel so enlightened, so like this, that I go goose pimply and I attract a lot of goodness when I do it. I attract a lot of positivity, you know. So, you know, what makes you do it? I want a free holiday in Armenia. You will go then, John Ryan. I want a free holiday. Jimmy Constable, I play the game and always nice to people, but I have the sixth sense of people. I can tell the genuine people. I have the feeling with yourself and also kick, as you say. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? I think you're right. I think there is a sixth sense that people have. There is a sixth sense that people have, that if you tap into it, it's great. Count on one hand in this bit. Oh God, yeah. You can count on one hand the amount of real, true friends you have. One hand. And it's funny because years and years and years ago, like when I was in my 20s, I'd be like, no, man, I've got like loads of friends. I've got like 30 friends I can call up and have a chit chat and whatever. No, the moment I went into financial dilemma and I went into really, really bad debt, which is another whole show, by the way, that I've written down that I'm going to talk to you about. My debts that I went into was insane. Okay. How many of my friends, Jimmy, John, all the rest of the gang that are watching now, Cherry, how many of my friends do you think came through and said, do you need any money? Listen, man, I'll give you whatever you need. You count on me. And that includes family. How many people do you reckon did it? Shall I tell you? Now, no one gave me the money. My dad secretly gave me 100 quid while my mum wasn't looking. And then I found out my mum actually gave it to my dad to give to me. So she already knew. The other person that came through for me is a wonderful guy called Tony. And Tony said to me, what do you need? I'll lend it to you. And that was a few years later when I was much better. I was on my feet, but I was doing a project and I needed some extra money. So I wasn't in dilemma, but I needed some extra money. And he came through, and 3 weeks later, I paid him back. How many people can you categorically, hand on your heart, turn around and say right now, yep, they'll give me £1,000 if I need it to me? Serena Vartavarians put 0000. John Ryan, good show as ever, pal. God bless you. Well, yours is starting in 8 minutes. Mine starts at 9, hoping to have Armenia's finest comedian working south of Newcastle. Or why is it always south of Newcastle? Why can't it just be the whole of the UK? Oh. All right, okay. Marilyn, Jimmy Constable, I wish more people were like you. Completely genuine. He is. And by the way, for those of you in the Armenian, around the world, by the way, in Canada, America, and whatever, Jimmy Constable is from a very, very, very well-known boy band called 911. And Jimmy's a very good friend of mine and the producer of the show. He's a wonderful charity advocate as well. I'm going to big him up now. But I'll tell you right now, for someone who's played in front of thousands of people, and he's done arena tours, and he's massive in China, in Japan, in Singapore, places like that, where he's done massive tours. Yeah, you can get on the phone. How you doing, son? I'm all right. What you up to? Oh, nothing. I'm just sleeping at the moment in the ambulance, waiting to go out and do another gig to get some more patients. I mean, come on. Don't even open that can of worms, right? When it comes to reality stars who have had 5 minutes of fame. And it's a different ballgame. I'm just saying. I'm not instigating any argument here. I'm just saying, you know. So and Jimmy's not the only one. I know a number of other really, really great pop stars, actors, actresses, you know, performers who have had massive fame and who you know, who continue in this business and don't have the same level of fame they had, you know, in past years, but yet nothing in their entire soul has been affected. They're just incredibly beautiful human beings. So, oh, listen, we've only got, what, 6 minutes before we move over to Mr. John Ryan. Zaven, what have you put there? Zaven's put, the way positive thinking and prayers work is by building your immune system. Do you know what? That's an interesting concept, because I think you can think healthy. I think you can think healthy. And when you think healthy, to a certain degree, you become healthy. You have to believe it. It's like anything you do in your life. If you say it over and over and over again, at some point it's going to come true. It's going to come true. Okay? And if you're thinking positive and you're saying, for example, I want a healthy life. I've got a great life. My heart is strong. My body is great. It's physically, you know, I'm doing all right. And I'm breathing well, and I'm keeping my body healthy. To a certain degree, I mean, you've got to do healthy things with your body as well, don't get me wrong. You've got to instigate it. But if you think healthy, you'll become healthy. And I'm going to leave you on this. We've got 5 minutes left. Last year, in September, I believe. No, apology. Yes, it was. It was in September. September, a tenant moved into one of my properties, which is not far from my home. And she and her 2 kids and her boyfriend, who I thought they were married at the time, she lied to me, moved in, well, they made the inquiry in September and they moved in October. And by December, there was no rent being paid. And you can imagine, you know, trying to stay positive when you've got someone not doing kind things to your house, and later on we found out also dealing from the property. Yeah, it gets very harsh. And I walked into the house a few times on her permission, and I asked her to, you know, give me a date where she could leave if she wasn't paying her rent. And she said, I'm not going to leave until you kick me out. And that'll be about a year. So she knew how she knew how it went. Anyway, through some advice, through a wonderful human being, that's, believe it or not, related to Mr. Jim Davidson, the comedian, I got some great advice from his son, who said to me, Charlie said to me, give them a financial incentive and they'll leave. And I did. And she left. What I didn't realize was those 3 months between December, January, and February, I became seriously stressed, and I didn't see it. And it affected everything about me. So much so that, so that would have been in 2018. So 19, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes because of the stress, because of everything that had happened with my body. Now, the doctor said, you are type 2 diabetes. And I thought, right. He said, so you're going to have to be on tablets for the rest of your life. I said, you what? He said, tablets for the rest of your life. I said, what, you mean like breakfast, lunch and dinner, a tablet? Yeah, after every, and that's it for the rest of your life. Now, I know I'm going to live to 103. So to take tablets for the rest of my life until I'm 103, no thanks. So what did I do? Immediately, I said to the doctor, I don't have it. He said, what? I said, I don't have type 2 diabetes. I said, at the moment, it's showing that I do, but I don't. And he said, I don't understand. I said, I don't have type 2 diabetes. And he said, so what's that mean then? I said, I'm not going to take the tablets. Well, it's your choice, he said, but you might have to be forced to take it if you don't make yourself healthy, if you don't make yourself better. I'll be honest with you, it's been a year. I've never taken the tablets. I eat healthy. I don't do much exercise at the moment, as you know, but I do take the dog for a walk twice a day. So I keep myself as healthy as possible. I drink plenty of water. And I don't have type 2 diabetes. That's what I'm telling my mind. That's what I'm telling my body. And I truly believe with the way I think about my life, that was just a mistake on behalf of the doctor. Because I truly believe if I think I don't have it and I'm healthy and my mind says I'm healthy, then it will go away. And I will beat any kind of complex issue like that by thinking positively. And I'm going to leave you on that because I think truly that's what life is about. It's about thinking positively. It's about believing in yourself. And it's about growing your motivated mind to doing better, to thinking better, healthier, and to basically living your life in the way you want to live it and not what other people think you should be living it. I'm going to leave you on that. You guys have been absolute. Do you know what? I love interacting with all of you. Each and every one of you have been an absolute blessing today. Thank you for joining me on this Billionaire Talent. We will be again going live next week at Friday, 8 p.m. And don't forget to join me on Wednesday when I do my Howling TV show at 8 p.m. We're about to release the image of the show on Wednesday night. We have got 3 fantastic guests. We've got Jenna Lee James from the latest tour she's just done with Hugh Jackman, which is the Greatest Showman tour. We've got Terry Alderton, the comedian and the very, very funny man. And finally, we've got Jordan Banjo from Diversity. And all 3 of them are going to be joining us for a really funny chat show and a great quiz at the end. Please join me on Wednesday at 8 p.m. and I'll see you next week on Friday at 8 p.m. for another motivational talk. Take care, stay positive, look after yourselves. Bye-bye for now.